Hey folks, Jack Spirko here with episode 40 of Miyagi Mornings. I hope to be outside today. The weather is cooperative. It's chilly, but it's overcast. It's good lighting for shooting, and it's not that cold nor windy, but there's like squadrons of freaking aircraft flying over my house, and it's made it impossible. So after 3 times of starting this and being so overrun with noise, I came inside to do it for you so you could hear it. So our question today we're answering comes from MeWe. I really recommend if you use social media, you get on MeWe. They're a company that respects your privacy. It's one thing to talk about freedom of speech, but how about just respecting your privacy? MeWe does that. The blue companies do not. Anyway, a person said, how can I grow my own hybrid chickens for meat production so I'm not relying on a factory to produce them or a hatchery to produce them for me so I can close off that input dependency? I like that you're thinking about closing off the input dependency, but you're probably not thinking about it the right way. The Cornish cross chickens that we use today are a multi-generation hybrid that comes from 4 separate breeds. And when you finally get down to that final chicken that grows so fast, produces those big double breasts, etc., you have a chicken that is so malformed and grows so fast and is so much of a mutant that it really is a chicken that you're a horrible person if you let it live too long. And it doesn't reproduce with its own kind very well. And it's kind of like breeding Quasimodos or something. You don't need to be doing it. And the hatcheries that produce them, they don't do it either. They get down to parental lineage, and then they're producing these birds, a lot of times using even artificial insemination techniques and things like that, which you're not going to do. So if you really need or really want birds that are going to go from the brooder to the freezer in 8 to 12 weeks and be large and plump and sort of uniform, then you're going to buy Cornish crosses. You just are. And that's not a bad thing. It just is. It's a reality. Nobody produces them for themselves. It's such a specialized thing. Even big producers get their birds from those hatcheries, right? So the way we need to come at this is a little bit different. Let's just kind of go through the time machine and go back to the pre-existence of this bird. And what did people do? And there were a lot of like Delaware Rock cross, and that's not a bad cross. But in the end, all you're doing there is taking 2 heavy breed birds and crossing them and getting some hybrid vigor out of it. Well, that's what you can do. You pick either a heavy breed and you make it your primary chicken breed, or you pick 2 heavy breeds, and then your offspring from that have some hybrid vigor, and you get a little bit of accelerated growth rate, but you're not going to get anything approaching what you get from a Cornish cross, or commercial producers would do it. But if we're producing for our backyard, what we need to do is get our mind out of the mindset that the commercial producer has. The commercial producer would just simply ask you, if I can produce a chicken in 8 weeks, why should I take 16? Why should I have to feed it almost twice as much, keep it twice as long, and make twice less the money? And I'm not going to kick big ag today, and I understand, and that's why even a lot of people do pasture poultry, etc., that do things a hell of a lot better than that, rely on Cornish crosses or heritage whites, which are kind of the predated version of the same bird that you're also not going to produce for yourself. But you don't live in that world. Right? If you're trying to grow backyard poultry for your family to eat and try to get meat and eggs, go and do what your grandparents did, which is heavy breed birds, Brahmas, Cochins, Sussex, Delawares, New Hampshire Reds, like any of the big heavy breeds. Orpingtons are one of the best, and they're also a great bird to work with as far as crossing with other heavy breeds. So wide net, so a wide net rooster crossed to an Orpington hen gets a pretty good backyard barnyard chicken, right? And then we're going to harvest our surplus cockerels and to a lesser extent our surplus pullets when they're fairly young. And we're going to use those. We're not going to get anywhere the meat yield in return for the feed inputs, which I'll get to in a second, that we would for a Cornish cross. But we get a pretty good frying chicken that you can fry, you can de-breast, and you can make enchiladas out of and all that stuff. And most people should be able to get about 2 meals for their family per chicken. If you're talking about a family of 4 and you're doing sides and all that. Me, I can eat a whole damn chicken myself, right? So it depends on how it works out for you. Okay, now, the other thing we can look at are birds that, like, what was the gold standard for meat production before all of these hybrids and crosses? And it was the Jersey Giant. And people shy off the Jersey Giant because to get, like, full potential, you're looking at 9 to 10 months. That's a long time to keep birds around. But I'm not, if you're going to grow a breed that you harvest at about 6.5, 7 pounds, you have a Jersey Giant cockerel that can get up to 13. I don't care how long it takes them to get to 13 if I want to harvest a 7-pound bird. The thing about them, though, you're kind of wasting them if you do that because they build their frame and then they put on the muscle. That's kind of the growth way they, which kind of makes sense. That's why they don't break their legs when they're that big. They also can't fly worth a darn. They really can't. I mean, they can fly up a little bit. They don't like to fly real high up because jumping down can hurt them. If you have Jersey Giants, you want to kind of put roosts in around 2.5, 3 foot high. Just because even if you can give them steps to get up, if they choose not to use them going down, they can hurt their legs because they're so big. That means they're easy to keep out of things, especially if you do a wing clip on them and what have you. And they're really a great bird to look at. I've never done any hybridization like crossbreeding like a Jersey Giant hen to a smaller breed like a Sussex or an Orpington, but I think that might be interesting to do. I would probably consider going hen to rooster from the Jersey Giant hen to the off-breed rooster. I would be a little concerned with some of the smaller hens being bred by a giant freaking Jersey Giant bird. So there is that. They're calm, and they're probably, for the average person, one of the best backyard poultry you can get because they're also up there with any of them for egg laying. They lay as many eggs as a dedicated egg layer. They are the best dual-purpose bird there is if you're patient. Now, there's 2 reasons that commercial producers aren't patient. One, time is money, but the other is time is feed, and feed is money. If you're reducing your inputs, if you're getting your birds a significant amount of their feed from your land, if you're growing feed for your birds, if you're sprouting grains and sprouting sunflower seeds and things like that, so you're reducing your overall feed bill, you care about that a lot less, don't you? And you need to start thinking from a mindset of, well, how much do I really need to produce? If you want to produce 50 birds a run doing chicken tractors with 25 birds of a tractor, use Cornish crosses. If you're a backyard chicken guy, right, chicken gal, you probably need to produce for the average family about 20 to 25 birds a year. Because each bird, especially with like a Jersey Giant, is going to give you 2 meals minimum. With Jersey Giant, you should be getting 3, maybe 4, depending on your family and what you eat with it. So if you can produce 25 of them, you can pretty much have 2 meals of chicken every other week from your backyard. That's significant in reducing your dependency on outside meat inputs. Plus you get stock, plus you get skin, plus you get fat, you get all these other products, plus you get eggs. Because they are a fantastic and large egg layer. It takes more time to get that machine running, but once that machine's running, it doesn't really matter how long it takes because we're talking about a backyard flock, not a commercial chicken farm, right? Now, the bird that I think is the best meat option for the least amount of work is highly underrated in this country, and it's native to this continent anyway. It's the Muscovy duck. Muscovies taste like beef. Most delicious beef you'll ever eat. They're like flying little cows. They're very gentle on the land. They don't mess things up. And I love ducks. You guys know I'm a duck farmer, right? And I have a lot of ducks. And right now I don't have any Muscovies. I'm going to rectify that this spring and bring Muscovies back here for many of the reasons I'm giving you right now. The only thing you must do with Muscovies is you must clip their wings. If you do not clip a Muscovy's wings, you will learn that Muscovies fly. And I don't mean the way we think of chickens or domestic ducks flying, up over a fence. I mean like away, like soaring in the breeze. And that's because they are a wild migratory duck. We use them as domestic birds, but there is no difference between the Muscovies we keep in the backyard, except maybe some colors that we've bred in and out of them, and the wild Muscovies that live in southern Mexico and Central America, that live in the jungle. They're a jungle fowl. They're actually in many ways more closely related to geese than they are to mallard ducks. Great bird. Broody. They will raise babies, and they don't care what the eggs are made of, right? So if you put chicken eggs under a Muscovy, she will hatch them and take care of them. When they go broody, you almost can't get them to come off of brood. They need to hatch something, or they'll sit there until they damn near die. So you got to think about that too, though. They're going to want to make babies. But that means that you don't have to brood. Like most chickens, sometimes chickens go broody, especially Cochins. That's why I like them as a dual-purpose bird. But Muscovies will go broody. If you have a group of 4 Muscovy hens, at least one of them every year is going to go super broody. And all you need to do then is keep all the other birds away from her once you've decided she has enough eggs. Because if you don't, they will keep putting eggs underneath her, and you'll have all your eggs out of time, and she won't be able to take care of them all. And getting into brood, taking care of brooding mothers is something we can't do today. But I'm just going to tell you, if you do that and you harvest your excess hens, you're going to be harvesting birds about the size of a mid-sized chicken with your girls. Drakes, Muscovy drakes, by the end of the season, even first year, are big birds. You're talking birds with a live weight somewhere in 12 pounds and up, and older Muscovy males will get up into the 15 to 16 pound range. The breasts on them are huge, and it is like one of the most beautiful prime pieces of beef you will ever eat. So if I really want to do backyard meat production from poultry, I'm probably going to do an integrated crop of ducks and chickens, and I'm probably going to include Muscovies in the mix. That's my perspective on this. I often say if something is dual purpose, it usually excels at neither purpose. And that's true, but I don't think it means we shouldn't use dual purpose birds. Because yes, the Jersey Giant does not excel at meat production. It actually does a really good job, though, and it actually kind of does excel at egg production. So it's one of those exceptions. And your larger breeds, again, your Brahmas, your Cochins. I mean, I think if I had to do this and you just made me pick, like, you're going to have 1 or 2 chicken breeds, what would you do? I would probably go with Brahma cockerels and Orpington or Cochin hens. Because the Cochins have a real good chance of becoming broody for me, at least 1 or 2 of them out of the group. And so that's probably where I would go, or I'd go straight Cochin rooster, Cochin birds. And they have advantages and disadvantages either way. Anyway, I've enjoyed this week of Miyagi Mornings. Hope it brought you a lot of variety. Remember, we do publish a podcast on Saturday morning with all of the Miyagi mornings from the week into a single audio podcast. Or you can share these videos with friends and family that aren't ready for a full podcast just yet. Take care, guys, and let me know what you want to hear next week on Miyagi Mornings. Send me an email, jack@thesurvivalpodcast.com. Put TSPC Miyagi in the subject line, and that'll make sure that I see it and know it's for Miyagi Mornings.